Hey guys, and welcome to a video with me, Andrea. Today's video is going to be full of truth bombs. The truth about motherhood. Now let me preface this video. Unfortunately, it has to be said. I love my kid. I love Everest to death. I love being a mom. But there's a lot about motherhood that isn't really talked about, and because it's not talked about, people feel very alone in these feelings. But the truth is that they're not alone, and a lot of people have these feelings. So I went to one of my motherhood groups, my favorite one, Ethical Vegan Pregnancy and Parenting, which I happen to admin, so maybe that's why it's so awesome. And I asked some of the parents on there, what was the hardest part about motherhood and parenting. And no surprise, a lot of the answers were the same. Not all of these apply to me personally, but a lot of them do. And I think if you're a mom watching this or a soon-to-be mom, it helps to know that you're not alone. And if you're a soon-to-be mom, it helps to have a more realistic image of motherhood. I would have enjoyed pregnancy more if I knew what parenting was, because I was so excited to meet her and get all this great stuff, but I was neglecting to remember that it isn't all great. Actually, there's a lot about it that's shitty. So the first one that I think we can all agree on is it's lonely. Even if you have a ton of people around you, it's a very lonely time in your life. You're isolated a lot. Like before I had Everest, I was home alone all the time and I never felt lonely. But suddenly, now that I'm not alone, now that she's here, I feel very lonely. I feel like a lot of my friendships have been lost, and that my friends or people who I thought were my friends, a lot of them have made very little, if not any, effort to ask me how I'm doing, ask about Everest, even make an effort to come visit us. A lot of them are saying, oh, well, can you come meet me here at this time? Or, texting me and saying, oh, I'm at, this address, you want to come meet me now? And I'm going like, no, I have a baby. And there's a huge disconnect there. And, they're complaining about how tired they are or how overwhelmed they are. And I'm kind of like, trust me, I'm more tired and I'm more overwhelmed. But I also want to validate that they are entitled to those emotions also. So loneliness, losing friends, or finding out that people who you thought were your friends aren't really your friends is a huge one. So isolation, loneliness. Breastfeeding was a huge one that women brought up. Luckily for me, breastfeeding came very naturally to me, but it doesn't come naturally to a ton of women. And a lot of women spend the first 2 months, of their postpartum period in incredible agony because, they're not, latching isn't working well. They've got cracked and bleeding nipples, lots of confusion with breastfeeding, because as a society we act as if it should just come naturally, but it just does not to a lot of people. So breastfeeding can be a very painful physically and emotional process for a lot of women, and that is not talked about nearly enough as it should be. Unsolicited advice. Suddenly when you become a parent, even if your baby is the happiest, just, smiliest little baby, developing beautifully, suddenly everyone thinks that they have the right to tell you things. Like I've had, when we just came back from a trip, I had a woman come up to me on the plane and say, have you started sleep training yet? You should get on that now. I'm like, who are you? And why do you think you should come up to me? And this is from another mom who should know more than anyone that like unsolicited advice is just not needed, you know? But we do it to each other too. We forget and we continue the cycle. But I've been told that I hold Everest too much. I've been told that I shouldn't breastfeed on demand and that I should get her on a schedule, a feeding schedule. I've been told that I shouldn't co-sleep and I should get her in a crib. I've been told that I shouldn't go to her right away when she cries because she's going to learn that when she cries, that someone always comes to her. And so, just endless. And I'm not asking for advice. I might be saying, oh, we had a rough night last night, and people think that that's my way of asking for advice, but it's not. I don't need advice. I just want someone to be like, yeah, that's shitty. I'm sorry you had such a shitty night's sleep. I didn't ask for your solutions. So unsolicited advice is a huge one. A lot of people wanting to take your baby from you. So like on the early days where you're just starting this bond and they want, and people are coming over and taking the baby from you and you're going like, it's just too soon. You want to be close to your baby. There's a lot of pressure in our society to like leave your baby with other people. And like, that's, overwhelming for moms. We feel like, well, I'm not ready to do all these things, but our society doesn't really support the premise that moms should have that resting postpartum, especially in the US when a lot of women are going back to work like after a few weeks. So that is really unexpected for a lot of moms. The constant touching was something that I really wasn't prepared for. Like sometimes, Everest will wake up in the middle of the night and she's reaching up and she's grabbing my face and she's pulling at my chest and she pinches me. And I'm just like, stop touching me. I just don't want to be touched anymore. I want my body to be my body. And you lose that a lot in motherhood. You don't feel like your body is your body. And you don't even recognize your body because your body has changed so much. Oh my God. Like I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, who's that? Is that me? Like I have no time to put any effort into my self-appearance. I'm, got stretch marks like it's nobody's business. And like my stomach is all saggy. Like, look, I'm covered in dried breast milk. Like, I'm just like, I'm gross, and that's really difficult to feel. And like, I feel like if you say anything about not liking your postpartum body, like you're attacked. Like that body gave you a baby. You should be more loving to yourself. It's okay to not feel great about your body every day, especially after having a baby. Like, it's okay. And a lot of women don't like their postpartum body, and weight loss is not as easy as a lot of people would like you to believe. Like, celebrities who look amazing 2 months after having a baby, or even your peers. Like, I saw women who looked like just like their old selves right after pregnancy. But guess what? That's not how it happens for everyone. And it might take you years to lose this weight. And that's just the truth of it. And we don't really talk about that. The other thing is like with the over touching and not feeling confident about your body, like of course that's going to impact your sex life and your relationship with your husband. Like, if you feel like shit, you've been touched all day, you're covered in dried breast milk, your boobs are leaking, your hair is greasy, you haven't really, had any time to yourself, and then your husband comes home, you're not like, okay, baby, let's do it. Like you're not necessarily in the mood. So, and having a baby is really tough on a marriage and on a relationship in general. it adds a lot of stress to your relationship. One of you, if not both of you, is extremely sleep deprived, and sleep deprivation is a huge thing about motherhood that we need to talk about more. And of course, that's going to impact your relationship. You know, I'm up with Everest all night. Colin sleeps through the night. So if I'm up all night and then in the morning, let's say it's Saturday morning, I wake him up at 7:30 and I've been up with her, you know, every hour during the night, he'll go, "Oh, can you like give me a second? Like I'm really tired." And I'm like, "How can you be tired? You cannot be tired. I am tired." You know, and or like he'll hand me to her to breastfeed and I'll turn around and he's asleep. He's fallen asleep. And I'll wake him up and be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Sorry, I'm really tired." And I want to like murder him. I want to kill him. So that's been really tough, is like the disparity of perception, you know, like he doesn't understand how that sleep deprivation would affect me. And very few of my friends and family do, you know, so that's definitely really been tough. So I think, you know, I touched on some of the major ones there. And, you know, I think the last one I'll probably mention is just the anxiety. Oh, Everest is waking up. Suddenly you love this person so much, and the idea of something possibly happening to them is just terrifying. Early in Everest's life, she had an anal fissure, like a little cut on her bum hole. And like I opened her diaper and there was all this blood in it. And I was terrified. You know, I've had parents deal with hand, foot, and mouth disease or pneumonia or all these things. And suddenly you know, you get these deep intrusive thoughts where you're like, if anything were to ever happen to her or to me or to my husband, and it really just terrifies me. And you know, I've never been more afraid of love. Love, you know, my love for her is terrifying, because if anything were to ever happen to her, it would kill me. And I mean that literally, like it would kill me. I wouldn't be alive. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. So I think those are, you know, the main ones. And like, it's so bizarre how you can love someone and something such as motherhood so much, but also hate it and have moments where you go, why did I do this? You know, and I love Everest to death, but there are times where I think, why did I have a kid? I had it so good before having a kid. You know, I could sleep in, I had my freedom. I had, you know, my body was my own. And, you know, that's over forever. It doesn't come back, you know, in any short amount of time. Maybe like when all my kids are grown up, you know, and it's really, really tough. So for all those moms that are out there, you're having a shit day, you know, you're not alone. And I gotta go because Everest doesn't nap for more than 30 minutes at a time, and wish me luck.